Welcome back to another video. It's Bradford City v Morecambe match preview. It's a big one because we drew on Tuesday, a bit of pressure on a few of the players and Mark Hughes. Although against Colchester I did say if we get a point against Stockport I'd take that, but then we have to go and beat Morecambe and Crewe. And I think that's the expectation. I think that can be definitely achieved. But Derek Adams returns against Bradford City and calling players out in match interviews. He's way against the fans where he didn't seem to care too much for us. And let's be honest, I would absolutely love it if Andy Cook scores an hat-trick and runs over to him and does a Kevin Ellison against us when he went and scored for Newport and ran in his face and had no regrets about it. I'd love Andy Cook to do that. His record at Bradford City, he managed 37 games, he had 1.19 points per game, and his record against Bradford City, our record against him, we've played 8 games, won 3, drawn 2 and lost 3. So quite a mixed bag. Results against Derek Adams, I suppose most of them will be when he managed Morecambe the first time and Plymouth. But whilst there's a lot of talk on Derek Adams going into this game, there's just as much talk around Andy Cook. Of course, missed a penalty on Tuesday night and missed a one-on-one. Missed a couple of really good chances last Saturday against Colchester United and doesn't start the season with a goal after 4 games if you count in the cup. It's not a good start from Andy Cook. His expectations are huge after last season, scoring I think it was 31 goals. And he's vital for us. Off the ball, on the ball, outside the final third, he's been linking up really well. He's still got that work rate. He's still been, he's forming really good partnerships with players from the midfield and the attack, which is something that he didn't have last season. And it was just him up front on his own, carving out opportunities. So that's a big positive. And I do think he will come good, to be honest. I think we've got to stick with him as a fan base. That on Tuesday night, chanting his name. I don't know if after he missed a penalty or after a game. And we've got to do that again on Saturday and hopefully we can all get behind him. And that man, he's one of our top goal scorers in history. He's certainly chasing down those records. He did last season, 31 goals, our most goals in a league season. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it certainly wasn't far off that anyway. He had an outstanding season. We can't just leave him for dust. He was unbelievable for us last season. However, let me tell you this, to put a bit of a dampener on everything I've just said, in 5 games against Morecambe, he's never scored, so that doesn't make for good reading. His record with Derek Adams, he scored 10 goals in 28 games, making Derek Adams his 8th most successful manager in terms of getting goals out of him, and Mark Hughes is currently 2nd in that list as well. I think Nicky Mellon at Tranmere was top of that list. Definitely knows how to motivate him. We saw that last season. He got dropped twice at the start of the season and in the middle of the season around January time. Came back in for Mansfield, and then he went on that brilliant scoring 1-2 a season. To a past and present then for Bradford City and Morecambe. Jan Songo, obviously currently there, were there before we had him, and were really good at Morecambe. Came to us, I think it'd be unfair to say he was bad for us. I think he was okay, he was a solid player. 6 out of 10. Definitely had a good partnership with Paddy O'Connor towards the back end. I thought, he was much better centre back than in defensive midfield. Didn't really get a chance under Hughes, went on loan to Walsall, didn't do all that. And currently not having the best time of it again at Morecambe, but certainly not having a bad time of it, and it's way too early to judge that after 3 games. Kevin Ellison, obviously a bit of a Morecambe legend, were there for about 7, 8, 9 years. Incredible stay for him there. I think he only played around 10 games for us, got 1 goal, correct me if I'm wrong. And Dylan Connolly, not before my time, he played for Morecambe for a spell, was on loan for us from Wimbledon when they were in League One, and he played up front a lot. He put a lot of effort in, didn't really have a lot of quality. It looked like he had a bit more quality because of the time that he was playing under Gary Bowyer, when we were just bereft of any quality in that squad because he just sucked the life out of all of it. And on that, who was the better manager for Bradford City, Gary Bowyer or Derek Adams? Into a key players then for Morecambe. He's a bit tough to pick key players for Morecambe, to be honest. I'm sure they'll have a better time picking key players out of our squad, but they've just come down from League One. They've obviously had a tough couple of years in there with the owners. I think the Bond Group are called. They're trying to sell, or if not have sold. And they've got a lot of younger players in the squad who are unproven. However, Michael Mellon and Adam Mayer, really like the look of them. From a few glances of looking at them, obviously I haven't watched a full game of them, but really exciting players. I think Mellon as a striker, he's got all the traits of being a good striker if you can find some end product, but this season I don't think they'll go down. They'll be in a battle, but it'll be a good season for those two to settle in and the players around them. Adam Mayer looks like a tricky winger who's got a bit of pace about him. Mellon can hold the ball up. Don't look like it when you look at his size, but he's got a bit of trickery about him as well for a number 9. And Jacob Medeu, I've said his name wrong, but centre back for Morecambe, did give away a penalty against Mansfield. Was quite unfortunate with it, and overall he's had a pretty decent start to the season. What are we expecting? I think everyone knows what to expect from a Derek Adams side, especially when he's managing a lesser team than what he was at Bradford City. And against us, their expectations are just to stay up, I'd imagine, maybe try and finish mid-table. But they're going to play with a low block like they did against Notts County. It's going to be ugly football. It isn't going to be pretty at all. They're going to play for the point. The only thing that might make me change my mind on that and just doubt if they are going to set up that way is that they are at home. So maybe if they do set up a bit more higher up, try and counter us a bit more than just play for the point and defend all game, because that ain't sustainable, as we found out Tuesday night. First goal will be vital. It brings them into a game. If we get that first goal, if they get the first goal, they will sit back on that like we will if we get the first goal. To head-to-heads then, only the 19 games played against Morecambe, not a rich history against them. 10 wins against them, 4 draws and 5 defeats. The last game we played against them was a 2-0 defeat against Derek Adams Morecambe on the 8th of May 2021. 2-1 win on the 16th of February 2021, a 1-0 win, a 2-1 win and a 3-2 defeat in the Football League Trophy in 2016 against Morecambe. We have actually only had 2 defeats in our last 11 games against Morecambe. That one's back all the way to 2010 when we lost 1-0 on the 2nd of October. So my starting 11 for the game on Saturday, it's a very attack-minded 11. Lewis in goal. I think it's way too early to be, saying he shouldn't be starting. I think he still can prove his worth because he is unbelievable. We saw that again. Like Cook, both of them haven't started the season well like they did last season. I think Lewis will be able to turn it around. I think he's got a good mentality. Right wing back, right back, I've got Brad Halliday. Oyegoke, just a big no. Do not select him. He can't defend, he can't attack. Brad Halliday for me offers a bit more of an all-rounded presence at the back. Then as a back two, I've got Stubbs and Platt. I think that them as a back two offer more than they do in a back three. I think Stubbs is more of a back three defender. I think he's got more qualities as a central centre back in that back three. Platt, I don't really see that, but the problem with that back line is it lacks a real amount of pace. And if you're going to play a high line with it, I think Stubbs and Platt will complement each other relatively well, so I would stick with them two in centre back. And then left back, not Liam Rideout, not Alex Gilliard, he's got a thigh strain, not Clark Odrar, because that'd be stupid, and not Luke Hendry. I've gone with Kelly. A controversial pick. I don't think it does. Like I say, no way Hughes will pick him in left back, but I do think he's got the qualities to get in the final third and put a good cross in. I think he is good on the ball, especially as a left back. There's a bit less pressure on you than as a centre back. I think he can make runs into a midfield, and I think that's the thing I'm most impressed about Kelly, in my opinion. But he's good on the ball. It's just defensively where he is a bit rash. So I would play him as a left back because I think he probably is the best option. I don't really want to be picking Rideout, and against a team that is going to be attacking a lot more, he can be just playing as a third centre back, the left-sided centre back in that three, like you see loads of teams doing now. Morwood in the centre, really good game against Stockport, and great defensive midfielder in this division, definitely showing his worth at this moment in time. Alongside him, I've got Alex Pattison, obviously not going to be dropping him. I think he's showing that he is the difference maker in this team now, and he's making those runs into the final third. And his overall play is fantastic as well. I think he's great defensively for what a normal box-to-box midfielder is, and he's showing like he will be, one of the best signings in the league. Bobby Poynton. Now, I don't want to pick Osadibe. I want to go with a midfield three. Ryan Easter's gone, stupidly, and I'm not going with Smallwood and McDonald away at Morecambe, who are going to be sitting back and defending most of the game. We need players who can try and open, like I said, we need players who can open the game up, can play the ball in behind the defence with that bit of quality. And I think what we saw with Poynton in pre-season, what we've seen in him training, he looks like he's that player who can open games up for us in midfield. It's way too soon to be starting week in, week out. I think Odrar could be another player who we've signed from someone else, but we've developed, and hopefully we can develop him because he's our player. I think he's got a 3-year deal, 2-year deal at least anyway. And he's proving that he is a really exciting player in the final third. I think there's a bit of quality lacking, and you can tell he's still a bit raw. And I can see why Hartlepool might not have started him week in, week out in that forward area, because they were, in a relegation battle. Whereas there's a bit less risk for us to be starting someone like Odrand. I think give him this full year, playing that role week in, week out, he's only going to improve. And so far what we've seen is someone who wants to get people off the seats. Then Tyler Smith on the opposite side in that sort of attacking midfielder winger position. Really impressive him. His work rate's fantastic. He's really good on the ball for someone who you'd probably just associate as a striker who wants to run on in behind the defence, and to say that he can play that attacking midfielder role so well is a great credit to him. And he's linking up with Cook really well, although Cook is quite in firing yet. I think Smith could be a really exciting player. And then Andy Cook obviously up front. I'm not going to be dropping him. I've already said I think he will score in this game. He'll prove a few wrong, and I think it'd be brilliant to see him celebrate in front of Derek Adams. But the score prediction, a 1-0 win for City. I think it's going to be tight. I think it might be scrappy in times. We have to get that first goal, and then we've got to take the game to Morecambe again. Don't sit back on it, because we will get found out. And against a team like Morecambe, they will be able to carve opportunities out by, just putting the ball in the back box. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Score predictions and your lineups going into a game. It's going to be a tough one, but we've got to come out with a win. Otherwise, we're under pressure then next week against Crewe. We've got to keep going with this momentum. Got to get an unbeaten run forming. Like the video if you did. Subscribe if you're new. Have a good one.